Something's weird. What the f? Hi mate, please help me out. I can't do another tank with wood. No, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, you can say the line. You can say, welcome to the
beautiful world of aquascaping. Well, I think the last time when I was here, that was the 650 liter aquarium.
It's a long time ago.
Okay, I've seen you guys are doing pretty well with the tutorials and the new builds, but this time I probably can help you.
The people of YouTube have been missing you, so...
Yeah, I read some of your comment that some guys are missing me, so this is for you guys. Actually, I have an idea for this tank, but before we jump into that, let's talk about the history. We had two layouts here previously, and we did an update on the last one. We've received continuously feedback that the backside of the tank was kind of disturbing. Everything in the backside of the tank was like really dark and wasn't enough detailed. This time we will use wood, which is a favorite for Tommy, I guess.
This will be a proper walk-around tank, finally, just like the other 90 cube we have next to it. We have 5 holes drilled in this glass. The 5 holes give enough flexibility for us to do any kind of layout, basically. We've prepared a lot of materials we will use. He did.
We will reuse some of them. If you remember, for the 650 liter aquarium with the angelfish, you can find it on the YouTube channel. We had very nice wood pieces there, and now we can give this another life. We have a lot of iron wood, and that will give the base of the layout. We will keep on a natural side, so this is not a diorama layout, and because of that we are limiting the plant selection.
A bit more information about the drilling and the hoses before we start. There are 5 drillings on the tank and 5 outlets, but we're only going to use 3 of them in this build. There is an Eheim 2080 underneath this tank, which has 2 outlets and 1 inlet, so that's what we need at the moment. This one in the middle is going to stay closed for this build. It's later on, if in another layout we want some cold mist or something, then we can use this. Actually, these are just, you can buy these anywhere. We don't sell them, but these are, I don't know what.
Yeah, this is very common in the marine hobby.
I think they're called wall connectors. You can close them off with a single cap. So this is just screwed on. There are some tabs underneath, so we can close them individually from underneath.
And it's easy to remove the glass. We receive a lot of questions about it, so how we do it, but it's easy to remove the glass and clean it and just put it back.
I have an outlet in my hand at the moment. There is a sealing ring around it and then some tape to keep it in place, and then we just pop it in the connection. And you have to be really careful because we broke one yesterday when taking apart the tank. Yeah. Obviously we can't use well, we could, but it doesn't make sense to use a lily pipe shape. We have this sort of cut, so it gives us some surface movement, but it doesn't rush out too much of the CO2. You can see it comes here, so there's a lot of space above it before it hits the water surface.
And if we keep it clean, then it's almost invisible.
Another thing we're going to do for this build is that we can actually trim back these to be a bit shorter, but we need a maintenance expert, Maki, and his tools for this. We actually want sand all around, and usually we like to keep the sand as thin as possible, but obviously we don't want to see the plastics sticking out.
We've spent some time earlier this week to prepare some wood pieces, because usually most dyeing is time consuming.
Yeah, and then we have a couple pieces without moss, and if I understand the plan correctly, these gonna go in the middle.
We're not sure at this moment we will plant any plants in the middle section. So maybe we'll have only just moss there. So for this reason, we're not using substrate, but we'll use only the soil.
So what we're going to use is ADA Amazonia version 2. Well, you've made the plans, so I have no idea.
Yeah, but we need to think about this 360.
It's always challenging to build a 360 walk around.
It doesn't have to be fully centered. We can make a bit of a tweak on that and have a unique face for a certain side. Moss need to be trimmed continuously, otherwise it will clog all the floating debris. And of course, algae will come in case if you don't have a good maintenance regime and you don't have a good filter in hand. Make sure to trim it back continuously, and for the trimming you can either use another filter to filter out these moss particles.
Yeah, you don't want the moss floating around during the trimming because it's going to grow into everything else.
I think we used up like 10 portion probably from the moss on these pieces, and we still have double of them available here, so we can glue them on some specific spots. If we use the wood pieces this way, that fish can swim in between these three parts. That will look pretty good.
Even though we don't plan to actually put some plants in the soil, it's good to have it in the water. It helps create a more stable environment. The only thing you have to make sure of is that the water flow can't really touch the soil that's not planted. If we would have the soil, for example, in this open area, without any plants and without any wood or rocks covering it, that would create lots of algae issues later on, because the flow would actually destroy these small pieces of clay as it goes through the top, and that creates a lot of debris in the tank, which leads to algae.
The base is okay now. We just need to add in the detailing.
Gluing helps with keeping the hardscape together during maintenance.
You can use a paper towel, you can use cigarette filter.
I find that paper towel is the best for me. I can already smell.
In the meantime, you need to check the moss to avoid dry out, because it will be much harder in the first few weeks if
the moss is dead.
And what do you think, Tommy? Should we glue also the big trees now?
I think it would be much easier to plant what we have like this, and then move towards the upper levels. With gluing everything into one piece, we can be sure that none of it is going to move about, because usually what happens is, even with heavy pieces that would stay down, when you start filling up, there's always a lighter end, and that starts to move up. The whole wood stays in place, but it just tilts, and you can avoid all this with gluing.
We receive a lot of questions about it. Why need such a large filter for a build? The filters what we're using gives us the full flexibility to build any kind of layout. For example, here we will have a lot of ironwood, which release a lot of organic waste, and if you have a small filtration under the aquarium, you probably will see cloudy water or tinted water in first place, but we also see a lot of algae problems. It's good to think ahead and buy the equipment which gives you more flexibility, both on the light and the filtration. So the only thing what we probably will face and we need to worry about is the moss itself. So we need to keep the moss clean. We need to trim it back timely. We need to focus on to not overfeed the aquarium. That way we can keep all these moss patches and moss pieces clean and healthy.
And here we have Mati, who's going to help us cut back the plastic outlets. And he's brought us some flowers.
You just pull it out, a huge ball bites, but I don't think this is something we can use. Originally,
I can see it in here.
yeah. If we want to keep the layout detailed enough, then probably these type of plants are just too big.
All the pieces are glued in, so all this is very, very stable, actually. More stable than usual. Mahi cut the plastic inlets in the meantime. There are just a few pieces of sponge in there to keep the sand from falling in when we fill it up.
We're using the La Plata sand from ADA. It's a light sand and will give a very good contrast to the layout. Because of the huge contrast between the sand and the decoration, it's kind of like squeezed in the large decoration pieces and it looks much smaller than it was before. So what we probably should do is somehow just adding in the details to the side, maybe with some stones or extra wood pieces. We have some Starwardgine which we need to plant, or we should. We have a few pots of Elocaris mini. These are small Anubias versions, Anubias Petite. I also wanted to have the Bonsai, which is also very small. And from Micro Showroom, the Trident. We tried to break the large area of the sand. We should do this in a different way and have the soil at the beginning.
Yeah, it's gonna be really difficult to keep the sand clean now. Do we want to put these in and then suffer with the planting underneath?
I think we should glue them there.
Okay.
Because then we can hide the joints and blend together the two different decorations. Probably if we would use these 3 trees on the top, would use differently and they would spread widely on the tank, the whole installation would look better or would look more unique, but this is a showroom and people will walk around the tank. So we need to make sure that no one is hurt, no one's eyes are hurt accidentally.
We should hand out some safety glasses in the entrance.
Maybe.
That's fine.
Rock solid.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
I could lift the whole thing by this.
Let's go.
Should we try?
No. Please no.
Okay, then you don't need me anymore.
You love planting, right? We have a bunch of plants and now I think we can start gluing them and also planting to the substrate.
Let's hope Josh Sim doesn't watch this video. It's not the way he told us to do this.
If Balázs would do this planting, probably there would be like 5 times more plants. So you easily can squeeze in a lot of plants to have a final look, but we will not do that this time. We will use just a limited number of plants and we will have a slow growth here.
I'm gonna check up on what you've done, if it's good enough for the Green Aqua standards.
Wow. We have some beautiful Cryptocoryne petchii. It's also not used so much in our aquariums. It's an easy plant, but sometimes crypt just melts. Do you want to help with the Anubias?
No.
No?
I'm good. Honestly, this is your tank, so I'm here to help, but I'm not here to figure out what you want.
Jó vagyok. We need... We're getting close to finish up with the epiphyte plants. We have the Microsome Trident, we have the Anubias Petite from Tropica. We have a couple Bucephalandra here and there. We have a question from the team, what we will do with the upper part, but that will be completely empty.
Sure you don't want huge bromeliads on the top? I hate your small pieces of rocks with moss. I'm gonna have glue on my hands for the coming week. I hope there is some glue left on it, so your hand is the same as mine.
Yeah, I already feel it.
Okay.
Thank
good.
you.
Great. We're gonna have a lot of cleaning up to do on the fill up because there is moss all around the sand. Which
Yeah,
we
plant
don't
pieces.
really want.
But that's how it usually happens when you start an aquarium. So you fill up the aquarium with water. You can use a skimmer or something like that to remove the cloudiness of the water and also these plant pieces. So that's not a biggie. Hopefully we will not see just algae, algae tank here in the coming weeks because moss is usually just not an easy thing, especially if you use a lot of them. But yeah, we have a very nice maintenance crew, and yeah, we're not worried about these things. So
yeah, they're good enough
good.
to work with anything we mess up.
How long it took? It's like 2 hours or something like that?
More like 4, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so time spent well.
It looks really stunning, and it's really a good complementary tank to the other cube, which is rocks only and it's completely underwater, and now this is wood only and, well, stuff sticking out.
Yeah, and we've solved the issue that now it's transparent and
yeah,
people were...
it's actually it's really good. If I'm standing here I can see the gallery.
Yeah, so it's not, the view is not blocked anymore. So that was the build for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.